Kia ora tātou and good morning and a very warm welcome to all our visitors today. I'm going to run through a very brief set of, what's the word, housekeeping, I think, there you go. So some of you may not have been here before. Welcome. Welcome to councillors, staff, of course, and the media, and all you good people who have made the effort to come here today. The toilets are down the hall and to the right, both wharepaku are down there. We have an issue with the building code, etc. If you can't find a seat, and I'll just, for those that are standing, there are some seats over here. Once the seats are full, the room's full. I'm sorry. So, but there are some spare seats over here, sir, at the back, if you wish to grab a seat. Well, you can't stand in here, that's the issue. So. There is a television out in the foyer which broadcasts live what happens in here. So, but I think we've got enough seats actually. Yeah, okay. Ah, good. Okay. So let's get our meeting underway. So I'd like to ask Mr. Mohi to take us through the prayer, please.
Mi no tata. I te mea tuatahi miha tu kia koutou a ngātai a koutou koto ropu ko tai mai tēnei ata. No reere pā kahuri mātou ke a koe i tēnei ata mana ki tia mātou e hui ki te kōre o re ronga me pāna ki a mātou o ngā tika hunga no whānui. Koe nei mea, ko te tūmana ko te ngā kau taitarangi mai rea ki a mātou ki rangi tēnei kōre o hohonu. No reere pā ho mai te kahari tō mātou tia mana whentin ki a whakaarahi i a mātou i tēnei ata. Koe nei mea ka pātai ki rangi te ingo I hukarati ake ake. Amen.
So just to repeat that last message, those that are late in, if you can't find a seat, I'm sorry, you'll have to watch in the foyer. There is a television that broadcasts out there. The other point I'll make is I just request, not negotiable request for silence in the gallery, please. We do have business to get through today, so a respectful silence would be welcomed. Thank you. And turn cell phones off. Thank you, Liz. Okay, any apologies for today? There are none. Thank you. Notices. I have one which is in regard to item 15, and I think perhaps Mr. Maxwell might explain who is... We're waiting for people to come to that item at 1 o'clock.
Morena Council. So we do have independent experts from the Far North coming to join us to present the work, as well as external parties who have collaborated. So we're just asking if that item can be put on at 1 o'clock to cater for those people.
Thank you. And there has been a request. There are HBRC directors here at 1 for the Corporate and Strategic Committee discussion if required. We'll just see how that plays out. We may have to come back to that if we have to. Okay, no further notices. Conflict of interest declarations. Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you and good morning. On the 14th of May 2016, I applied to the Auditor-General for an exemption or declaration under the Local Authorities Members' Interests Act 1968. This was to enable me to participate in a number of decisions by the Hawke's Bay Regional Council about the proposed Ruataniwha water storage scheme. By letter dated 28 June 2016, the Auditor-General granted the following declaration. The Auditor-General declares under Section 6(4) of the Local Authorities Members' Interest Acts 1968 that Section 6(1) of the Act will not apply with respect to discussion or voting on decisions about whether the conditions on Council's $80 million investment have been met before the Hawke's Bay Regional Council or any of its committees. This declaration will continue in effect until the next triennial elections of the council.
Thank you. Just the gentleman with the camera, you need a seat, sir. Sorry. Thank you. Okay. So the minutes now of the 8th of June, 8th and 9th, the council hearing. Oh, how many pages? So for accuracy, bear with me. So let's start for accuracy, page 2, page 3, page 4, 5 and 6, page 7, page 8, 9, 10, page 11, page 12, just for accuracy here, 13, 14, page 15, page 16, page 17, 18, page
Mr.
19
Chairman.
and 20. Councillor Dick.
Page 16, item 28, submission from Rex McIntyre. 28.2 says, in communicating council decisions, provides an update in relation to the Regional Economic Development Strategy Action Plan for any investigation of a multi-use corridor. That is not correct. The reference there should be to the Regional Land Transport Plan. The Regional Economic Development Strategy Plan is something that this council, apart from some officers and maybe
Yeah.
yourself, know nothing about.
So, is there any dissension around the table with that? That was discussed on the day, I think. It wasn't the Reds strategy.
Pardon?
It was not, you're
No.
correct in
No.
what you say there. So, any dissension with that? Okay, thank you.
The reference is to the Regional Land Transport Plan.
Sure. Okay. So no other matters of inaccuracies. Would someone be happy to move that those minutes are a true and correct record? Thank you, Councillor Scott. We have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Pipe. Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Matters arising from those minutes. Councillor Dick. Oh, microphone, please.
In relation to item 36, the submission from Neil Curtin, I believe councillors will have been circulated with a letter from the Hohepa Trust where Mr. Curtin advised that they have been successful in securing lotteries funding of $139,000 towards the lower Taipo Stream wetland enhancement project. And he asks in that letter that that councils reconsider the no change decision on the basis that it is very rare for Hawke's Bay Regional Council to be offered a community partnership for the enhancement of a very important wetland, where the offer from a community group includes such a large sum towards the project. So my request is that that officers, in the light of that information and that generous contribution, make appropriate provision in their work plans to cooperate with this initiative.
Thank you. Do you reply to that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Councillor. We have had a number of engagements with Mr. Curtin around this matter, and in fact, staff have been involved on this project for a couple of years. We have paid for the enhancement plan, and we have to allow Hohepa to be able to progress their funding application. And we have also aligned some of our work that we've been doing on the lower Taipo with their requirements as well. One of the things that we had indicated to Mr. Curtin was that we do have a work program already in place and the funding allocated to that. And for the immediate future, that is fully committed. So hence our officer's response in response to Mr. Curtin's submission.
Thank you.
Yes, well,
No, we'll leave it there, Councillor Dick. I think we've had an answer, but the conversation's ongoing, is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, okay.
I'd simply make the comment that this standard stock reply makes no change to the annual plan is unfortunately gives an impression that, say, go away.
But that's not the case.
If you say so, I'll accept that.
Mm. Okay, any other matters arising from those minutes? Okay. No other further matters arising. Let's go to the next set of minutes then, which was the extraordinary meeting of the Regional Council the 15th of June. So again, for accuracy, page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. Very short set of minutes. Someone happy to move that they are a true and correct record of that? Councillor Dick?
Sorry, Mr Chairman, but the Chief Executive appointment, item 5, confirms that all councillors will be involved in shortlisting and interviews of shortlisted candidates. That's not really correct, is it?
No, that was what was decided on the day. Yes,
Pardon?
that's correct.
It's correct?
Yes.
That they'll be involved in the shortlisting?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was being done by the appointment subcommittee.
No, that was the decision that was made on the day.
Okay.
So
No,
they,
that's
hang on, well, let's move them before we have matters arising.
No, it's on the same point. My memory is the same as Councillor Dick's, that the subcommittee is going to do the initial screening, if you like, and we're only going to interview those people that they recommend that we do.
Let's ask who the person who took the minutes.
Okay.
Can you go back to that?
Sorry, that's a input error. I've put the word shortlisted in the wrong place, so it should only be
Oh, well.
involved in interviewing the shortlisted candidates.
I will stand corrected then. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dick. So can we make that change? Okay. So with that change, are you happy to move that? Happy to move. Thank you. Seconder for that. Those minutes. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Let's put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Any matters arising from those minutes? Councillor Balfour.
May I ask when the advertising campaign will begin?
We've had one meeting, the subcommittee, and we've asked for requests for proposal from suitable consultant companies, and they are back by next Wednesday. Yeah. So then we haven't gone any further than that. So. Okay. Follow-up items. Order, Councillor. Okay. Follow-up items on page 5. And I'll hand it over to Mr Maxwell. Perhaps you could clear up some apparent confusion around the first point.
Sure. So through you, Chair, perhaps just aware of the recent media interest around these various panels that exist in the consent conditions that deal with dam safety. Just a few points that perhaps I could add to the information that's in the status comments. From a staff perspective, we see this as very much being a sequencing issue. You may or may not be aware that the dam construction expert panel has already convened virtually and in person, and has reviewed and certified the dam type, which had changed. As part of that dam construction expert panel, the 3 regulating councils, Central Hawke's Bay District, Hastings District and Hawke's Bay Regional, provided a person for that panel, Trevor Matushka, who's a Category A registered dam engineer, who provided council's ability to reach into the discussions and understand what was going on. The other panel that exists in the conditions is the independent review panel. Our view is that this needs to convene post-financial close, so once the scheme is going to go ahead, when the details on construction, including detailed drawings, are available. And all of that material that sits around the detailed design and drawings would also fit into the construction environment management plan, which also has to be produced by HBRC and fed in through a separate process. So all of that material comes together into that management plan process. And that, at the stage that's happening, the independent panel should be convened and should be operating and doing those reviews. Just to make a note that the independent review panel is convened by the consent holder and reports to the consent holder. So it's not convened by the council, it's convened by the consent holder, and there is no ability for us, or there is no requirement, I should say, for us to have any reporting back from that panel. That said, however, what we are looking at is clarifying who qualifies to be in the independent review panel, who is independent, and so therefore available to be in the panel. And we have a verbal agreement with HBRC at this stage that we can bring Trevor Matushka, who is working for us, as I explained before, on the dam construction, the dam construction review panel, across into the independent review process. So effectively employed by us, made available into the panel, so it gives us an arm's length reach into that panel. He would be employed by us but paid for by the consent holder. We've yet to clarify that with the two other regulating councils, but we have that agreement at this stage. A couple of other points. One is that at this stage we don't consider there's been any breach of conditions, nor is there any risk to dam safety, given that the independent review panel can, at any point that it's convened, reach back for any information from any previous process or any information it needs to form its conclusions. And recognising that you're talking Category A registered dam engineers with a significant amount of experience and expertise in that space who would be in that panel, I would fully expect them to go looking for all of the information they would need to make fully informed decisions or provide a fully informed review. And then the final point would be is that there is another layer that sits across all of this that isn't specified in these conditions that deals specifically with dam safety, and that's the Building Act. So we contract our Building Act functions to Waikato Regional Council, who will also convene experts to review the design, the construction, etc. of the dam from a dam safety perspective under the Building Act. And we will also, and we are, talking to them about their work and their findings as they look to pull that together. They are not pulling that group together until post-financial close, when they know that there's going to be something to review. So, did that answer questions?
So can I ask a very simple question to start with? So there's nothing really to review at the moment?
Not at this stage would be our position. There's nothing to review.
Okay.
And there's not a consent being exercised because there is not a project, because we're not at financial close at this point. So it is a sequencing issue. It's when does the panel convene? Like I say, they could convene at any point, and at any point they can reach back for information that may have existed prior to them convening to conduct their review, including any detail around construction or design.
Okay. Councillor Bell.
I think I would dispute a number of those statements, and to understand why, I just would like your forbearance in reading just two sentences out of the Board of Inquiry decision. While the Board accepts the competence of the experienced engineers that will be involved and the safety-conscious provisions of the New Zealand Society.
Mr. Chairman, just a matter of process, could the gallery please stop talking, because I can't hear what is being read out.
Good point. Could you please be respectfully quiet? Thank you.
While the Board accepts blah, 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 it is conscious that every project of this nature has its own peculiarities that require timely expert evaluation and review. For those reasons, the Board has revised the conditions relating to the construction of the dam to ensure that all further, this is in June of 2015, to ensure that all further investigations, design, construction, operation, maintenance are independently reviewed by a panel of at least 3 independent experts at appropriate milestones. This is we're opening ourselves here to a third lawsuit challenging our process. We have been asked to agree to a set of conditions precedent.
So your question is, though?
I'm getting to my question.
But
we've been asked to agree to conditions precedent that confirm a construction contract at a price protected by that contract. The reviews that's contemplated here, as well as the Building Act review, any of those could add significant cost to this project. Somebody could come along and say, double this, triple that, add $50 million of cost.
Let's get an answer. I mean, it could take price off too, of course, Councillor Balfour. Let's get an answer from Andrew Newman.
Well, I guess my question, we have a lawyer reviewing this, Matt Conway. Who is he a lawyer for, us or HBRC? Or?
He's council's advisor, Councillor.
And so he's going to come ultimately with a further opinion as to whether the process has been duly followed here?
So yes, we're engaging him continually in this discussion, and hence my comments reflect our discussion so far with him.
So do you understand the point I'm raising, though, that if there is challenge to the current design as it stands, and which is presumably the basis of a current pricing of the dam, any point in these two reviews could significantly change that price? And I don't know what bearing significantly changing that price has on the economics of the project, on the views of our investor or any other party to this thing. So how can we accept a condition precedent without this being all in place and kosher, or do we just sit through another third lawsuit?
So to the extent that this is an HBRC court, the first point is that in terms of consent obligations, the regulator has convened a panel. That panel has agreed, my understanding, that panel has agreed the dam design type. Now, the second point I'll make about the dam design type versus the original CFRD dam type is CFRD dam types are not present in New Zealand. Central core rockfill dams are very, very common. That's a fundamental point. And so there's been a substantive process on risk, substantive process regulatory. That process is ongoing. Coming on to the contract itself, Councillor Belford, it's a DNC procurement method, design and construct, fixed time, fixed price, which is effectively a risk allocation. So what the contractor does is they take the risk of having to, and I'll give you an example. If you're looking at the core of the dam, the flexible core of the dam, the dam material type, is it one, flexible enough, is it impermeable, and that boils down to a particular content of the central core rockfill. Basically, that's their risk, and they have to build in their pricing strategy sufficient contingency to deal with that risk. Now, in that particular instance, using that example, their view is there's material within the reservoir site that's suitable, and plenty of it. But if it doesn't stack up, if that material is not good enough, they've built into their price the ability to go away and get bentonite from another site in Central Hawke's Bay. So that's their risk. And that's the contracting type, and we're spending an awful lot of time right now on the allocation and design of that risk. And finally, I would simply say that there is a point in time here. It's nonsensical that HBRC would go away and establish an independent panel to sit there and wait when we haven't actually initiated the detailed design process. As soon as that's going, that's the time for that panel.
With respect, there's all sorts of design work has been done, is underway, and so forth, and it was the clear intent of this Board of Inquiry that all of the work underway since that decision was to be in this process of independent review.
I could just, again, reiterate my comment that the independent panel can reach back for any information it sees fit to conduct its review at any point. It's not fixed in time. It's not only considering information that's given to it on the day. It should and could and will reach back for information that exists that may have been created before its existence, and that's very much how they should operate.
I think they've answered your question, Councillor Belford. Any other questions? Councillor Barker.
Could I rephrase Councillor Belford's point? What is highlighted here is that he perceives the possibility of a legal risk. That's what he perceives, that we haven't got our processes right, that there's a disjunct between what's in the Board of Inquiry report and what we're doing in other places. That's his concern. So what I think would be reasonable for us to ask, if you're talking to Matt Conway regularly, for Matt Conway to pen a letter setting out what he understands the processes to be and what he thinks is if there is a legal risk to us in the process we've set upon or not.
You're correct, Councillor. That's exactly what we're doing with Matt. At the conclusion of this, he will give us an opinion that provides us the guidance on how we deal with this. And like I say, I'm reflecting the discussions we've had to Matt and the build-up to him providing that guidance and that opinion, and that's the reason we've brought them on board, is so that we can manage any potential legal risk associated with us.
With respect, who's going to get the legal advice? You? Because we've had this discussion before. You've had legal advice. I haven't seen it. So is this legal advice going to be for the council? So we can assure councillors that's going to happen.
I mean, my personal view would be I'm more than happy to share the substance of that legal opinion. I don't see any reason we would withhold that from you. It's not in relation to prosecution. It's advising us on process and procedure. So I'm more than happy we'd share that.
Councillor Belton wants to be reassured. You should provide him with reassurance.
And it sounds like we're going to get it. Okay, any further questions on this matter? Let's go on to clean heat.
Do you want me to do Clean Heat? Thank you, Mr Chairman. So the council has requested an update on the progress of Clean Heat. That's set out there in the status comment. Just note that we passed a milestone late last month with the 10,000th property utilising our loan and grant scheme, which is both Clean Heat and for insulation.
Any questions on that? Any further questions to follow-ups?
It's proposed to be, yes. Yeah. Yes, it
Great
is.
story, yeah.
Yeah.
Great story. Councillor Dick.
Just in regard to Lagoima requests, the first two on behalf by Donna Hall Woodward Law Office. Is that an organisation or an individual that's being represented there?
To be honest, I'm not sure. There is, as you'll see, there's a lot of them. I haven't actually looked up to see whether Woodward Law Office is a collection of legal professionals or it's just Donna, so I couldn't answer that, sorry.
Could you let us know in due course?
Councillor Bell.
On the same page, the bottom one is a request from Forest and Bird. And I can't quite tell from this, but am I correct in assuming this is with respect to the original 15 million cubic meter water purchase that HBRC wanted to make from the aquifer? Is that
Correct.
what that's all about?
Yeah, in relation to their application for the tranche 2 water, that's correct.
So where does that sit? And there were some counter applications, were there not?
So it's on hold under Section 92 of the Resource Management Act while the applicant provides further information to us. And there are others in the queue, and they're happy to stay in the queue and wait while HBRC provides further technical information basically around how it's going to run and operate.
And so a window like that can be indefinite?
Not quite, but certainly there is a period of time that needs to be made available for technical work to be done. It's reasonably heavy lifting technical work, and there's been a bit of time in between where the application was on hold at the applicant's request, not at the council's request. So there's been a bit of toing and froing on this while HBRC figured out how it was going to undertake the technical assessments and do that work.
No further questions? Someone happy to move that we accept those follow-ups? Thank you, Councillor Bevan, Councillor Scott. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Put that motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary,